Hello, Jane. How are you? Hey, Jane. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Anthony. How are you?
Yeah, very good. It's been a while since we had a chat.
Yes. And I've been thinking a lot since we had a chat about what you said. I can't remember if it was last time or previously, but I was very intrigued and interested in what you said about having your awareness or focusing your awareness outside of yourself. So normally as a human, I'm going
Right.
along, and my focus is like from me looking out into the world. And and what I heard you saying was, how would it be if you had your awareness outside in the world and
Right.
you looked from that perspective or something along those lines. But I was very intrigued by it, and I like the idea, but I'm not sure I got it right. So,
Okay.
or I'm not sure I understood what you were saying there. So it'd be great to
Well,
revisit that one if we can.
okay. All right. So I think that you're on the right lines, and but sometimes language helps because it gives direction in it. So for me, for example, what it's about is I notice that my awareness, and you could call it self-awareness if you're doing it in the healthy sense, has
Yeah,
grown dramatically. All right. So
yeah.
I'm aware of so much more about what's going on within me in my energy field that we talked about because everything's about energy and vibration. I'm aware of how I interact with what's going on now compared to what I used to be. All right. And I
Hmm.
think what I'm starting to also understand is there's a very important element that has to be brought into it. And that's about the understanding that we are non-physical beings and the universe actually is a non-physical universe in the sense that the source of all that is within the non-physical, is vibration. The physical actually is a very temporary state of being, yet we've given it enormous power. The human,
I don't, hold on a sec. So you're saying that source energy is in the non-physical.
because by virtue of the fact that it's vibration, it's non-physical.
It's vibration. So
You understand it goes beyond what we see as our Earth and our universe.
yeah.
And people may argue that, but yet scientists will tell you in the last 50 years, they've discovered more universes than they ever thought existed. I don't know if you're aware of that, but that's a fact.
Right.
And due to what they're able to do now, even with, you know,
So
satellite tele
are you talking about the non-physical? So you've got the physical, so like the tree outside your window. That is
correct.
physical.
Everything we see when we open our eyes and look around us, including the sky, what used to be called the heavens, um, that's physical. It literally
Yeah.
is the physical. Okay, then you go beyond that into another realm, the, the non-physical. Okay,
And that's vibration.
where everything's vibration. So the vibration or the source is in the non-physical. That's why how we use our mind, our focus of the mind is so important because that's where everything happens in the spiritual, in the non-physical. So what we still don't really understand as human
Mm.
beings is the thoughts we have, the perception we have, which are thoughts,
Yeah.
is a very creative thing. It starts creating and therefore it manifests in the physical. But where does it start? It starts in the non-physical.
Why do
Because
you say that?
because even though I'm having a thought, I'm having I'm having thoughts that are energy, right? I'm I may be using my mind and my brain and I'm having thoughts about things. But I'm most of the time I'm doing it in relationship to what's happening to me in my physical world.
Correct.
Okay. But very few people stop and really truly understand that I am a non-physical being in a physical world. So I want to start expanding my awareness. beyond the physical brain and the physical capabilities.
But
So
if
that
you're
I
saying
actually
that,
start accessing the non-physical aspect of who I really am.
yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
but if
Jane, one second, let me just finish this and then you can, do you think most people really get that probably, I'm going to use rough figures. This is not factual, but it's the principle. Is probably only 30% of who we are comes into the physical universe, the body.
30% of who we are comes into the physical body.
Only about 30% of us actually comes in here, focuses in here. The rest of us is focused on the non-physical, in spirit.
So, on what basis can you say that?
On what basis can I say it?
Yeah, or anybody.
Very simple, actually. The reason why most people's lives suck is because most souls are not evolved. I know people don't want to hear that, but most souls haven't evolved very much consciously. So therefore, even less of them is focused in this physical body. And that's why their lives are like they are. That's why most people stay asleep and ignorant most of their lives. That's why most people haven't got ears to hear, and they never had ears to hear 5,000 years ago when prophets talked. They didn't have, or people who understood stuff talked about it because they're not evolved. And therefore, not all of who we are comes in here. It's so obvious because it's not possible. If the fullness of us came through here, our lives would be dramatically different. But that's part of what we're trying to do. For me, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm starting to understand the more I open up and the more I start expanding my awareness as to who I really am and not who I think I am. My thoughts, my feelings, my body sensations, and the life I'm living, the better my life has got. I mean, that's a fact for me. Okay, I can only talk for me. My life has got better and better as I've got older, which has been amazing. All right.
But,
What I
but
mean by my life being better, the quality of my life, my peace, my sense of self, my own sense of security, my generosity to others, I'm not talking about financial generosity. I'm talking about being able to be more forgiving, less judgmental. That's not because of the human part. That's because I've expanded my awareness to understanding more and more about who I am in this universe and my relationship with and my connectedness to people, other beings.
right. So,
Uh,
but I mean, hmm, it's very
no,
difficult. What?
say it, whatever.
I was going to say that it's difficult to get what you're saying on one level because you said earlier on that your thoughts are chiefly a reaction to what's going on,
No,
you know,
most people's thoughts are a reaction to what's going
what's
on. Yeah,
going on.
correct.
And and
And not only a reaction, most people's thoughts are the vibration that has existed on this planet in the physical that began when human beings or Neanderthals that had an intellect and a brain first emerged. Okay. However, 50,000 or 100,000 years ago, maybe 300,000 years ago, who knows? But when what we call the ancestors of the human being first started emerging, that's when vibration that has formed the human psyche, which are most of the thoughts we have.
right,
That's when it started, particularly the key foundational thoughts. Then what happens is we're all got our own unique ones according to, you know, the upbringing we've had, the environment we've grown in, and also our human interpretation of it, and therefore our perception. Okay. But why do you think most people have repeated thoughts? I mean, why would you have a continuous, most people's thoughts are judgmental of themselves and others and the life they live. It's a simple
yeah,
fact. Now,
yeah, yeah,
I understand most people don't want to hear that. Okay. I do understand that. All right. I just look inside myself from some of the processes I've been doing recently, and it's fascinating because I am so acutely aware that a lot of my thoughts that I hold and beliefs I hold about myself do not bring me as much joy and creativity as I want, and yet I'm still arguing with them inside myself. I still
Yeah.
observe every day just how much my humanness argues with it, because the human consciousness cannot change. The human consciousness will never change. It cannot happen. The only way for it to change is through expansion of my awareness beyond my human physical life to understanding who I am in the universe. And that most of the rules I live by, or most of the laws I live by, or most of the beliefs I live by, particularly in relationship to what makes life better, which always, by the way, goes back to God. And this is where the biggest level of denial is people will not tell themselves the truth about their belief system, about the source of life, God. Whatever it is they believe or they don't believe is where it all starts from. Because until a person finds inside themselves the energy, the thoughts, and the feelings that are telling them why they cannot have a magnificent life now. And when you go through all the impediments, all the things that you think are blocking it, all the beliefs, it gets back to actually, I'm not worthy, I don't deserve, and I'm not sure that it would be okay with God. Because you know why? The God that we believe in, you would really have to piss off to have a good life. And that's any way you're going to find that is inside oneself, in one's energy field, and then you have to go beyond your human energy to understand that. Only it can only happen when you start really getting your awareness to understand that from a universal point of view, God doesn't care.
No.
Okay, only I do by my beliefs and my judgments and rules that I have, but what's right and what's wrong and what's okay with God and what's not okay with God. Okay. And then I have to face the fear I have that I really am going to upset God, because what I'm doing is I'm throwing out and getting rid of everything that I've ever learned, thought, and believed, and everything my ancestors believed, and everything every other human beings believed about God since man first came on the planet.
You're going to throw all of that out.
It has to be thrown out. This is basic. And by the way, it was something that Jesus even said about be like a child.
Yeah.
Being like a child means I need to be completely empty. When a child comes in here, they're completely empty of all of the stuff. And then what happens is it slowly gets filled up.
Yeah.
Okay. So to do that, all I'm saying is for me, what I realized, I had to start thinking differently in terms of my awareness. I had to start opening myself up to allow what's already there. You see, the source consciousness, the stream of consciousness that comes from the source is available to all of us. All right, that's the first, it's an important thing to realize. The consciousness that has been available from the beginning is available to every one of us. But most people just don't believe it. They won't believe it's that simple, because we have an intellect, we have a brain, and we have a memory. And remember, spiritual awareness or eternal awareness is not the same as the human memory, but people think it is for the most part. And that's where they get trapped. In other words, okay, Jane, I don't know if you've had it. I've had it. I've had real past life experiences in meditation. I mean, they were freaky. They freaked me out. Okay. But
Yeah.
they were so real, it was unbelievable. So that started to help me understand that it's already in me. It's in everyone. That's what people, there are some genuine experiences where people have after life experiences. All right. It's in us. But most people just don't want to believe it. There's a part of me that still doesn't want to believe the ones I've had. I can feel it, because that's to do, and I believe that's to do with a lot to do with our soul, if you want to call it that. In other words, a lot of people don't have the ears for this, and they won't have the ears for it.
No,
The
I can just,
majority of mankind won't have the ears for this. It's not
yeah,
going to happen.
I can get, I mean, I can get that. I can get that. I've never had a past life experience in a meditation, I don't think.
Okay, and one doesn't need that, by the way. I'm not saying,
I
listen,
think
people
I've had an
don't.
eternal life experience in a meditation. You know, I've
Okay,
had an eternity kind of,
yeah,
you
all right.
know,
So
and
that's
it,
the same thing.
yeah,
But
And
people, but most people will not get it, and it's okay because there isn't the evolution hasn't taken place yet for them. All right.
hmm.
Now, I
And
was, yeah,
go on. I
no,
was
carry
just
on.
thinking, I'm just trying to, get a handle on what you're saying because you're saying quite a lot of things that I'm finding it difficult to kind of get hold of.
All right. Ask me a question
Which
about
is
something,
which is
something that
good
stood out.
because I think sometimes I try and get a hold of an idea and so I can package it up and put it away and not think about it anymore, which
Yeah,
is
because we want to control everything. We have to.
exactly,
The human
exactly.
psyche, right. So there you are. But how many people are really willing to look at how much they want to control everything?
Yeah,
Because remember, the human psyche is completely built around control or the human stream of consciousness. Do you understand that?
yeah.
Completely built around control. So the only way I'm going to get beyond that is through starting to expand my awareness into non-physical, where
God.
there's no control.
Yeah, I
It
mean
will be,
that's
it's very
right.
threatening. You
Yeah,
have to
it is.
threaten your own, you have to threaten your own psyche. There's no other way. There's no shortcut. This is the whole point. This is what Jesus taught. This is what Buddha taught. And this is what Abraham in Judaism taught. They all taught it in their own way. You're going to have to experience, one has to go through a passage of realizing that it's going to feel like so threatening, life threatening. Yes. And this is the point. It's only when you see just how much your own human psyche wants to hold on and control, and that you have to give it up. You have to renounce it. You have to give it up. Otherwise, it ain't going to happen in this lifetime. There isn't a shortcut. Unfortunately, most people who are doing religion and spirituality are looking for the shortcut because that's what the
Yes,
human
that's
being
right.
does. Yeah,
That's what, yeah, human beings lo love the magic bullet, don't they? I
correct.
mean, they love the
Of
magic
course.
bullet in order to avoid an experience as
Hey,
well.
I love a magic bullet. I wish I could take enough tablets that would have me
Yeah,
be
yeah,
enlightened tomorrow. Okay.
yeah. I know. I know. But it's really interesting because when you're saying this stuff, I'm thinking, oh right, okay, so what I've got to do is I've got to let go and I've got to identify with the non-physical and understand that that's where I'm coming from is the non-physical and that's who I am is the non-physical. But I still want physical stuff.
Yeah, and no one
So
said not to. By the way, that's
how can I
because what I do is that
manipulate that? Hold on a
yeah,
sec, Anthony.
exactly.
How can I
Yeah,
manipulate this experience in order to get what I want in the physical
absolutely.
life? Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? I just
no,
think,
I get it.
I'm so low level in that sense. I'm so sort of like,
No,
mm,
we
you know,
all we all are because we all have a physical consciousness. It's just that there's so much reluctance just to admit it and get it's what it is. It's like gravity. The physical gravity around us, around this planet, it is what it is.
yeah,
We for the most part, most people have accepted that. Okay, we haven't questioned that.
yeah,
But when it comes to our own understanding that the human psyche, which is a stream of consciousness, of vibration, of energy, is low life. It will never breed or bring anything good. It's not capable of that. But people don't want to accept that. They're always trying to become better human beings.
well,
Or com-
human beings aren't capable of goodness. Is
no,
that what you're
correct.
saying?
But that's what I'm saying. The human consciousness is not capable of it. It's only when I start understanding and incorporating an awareness that goes beyond that. So, in other
Okay.
words, the true meaning of love, I suppose, is that I don't know what it is, but it ain't what I know that I think it is. I love something, therefore I've got to control it and tell it what to do. And I've got to keep it and hold on to it. We are so afraid of just letting go. And you see, I believe that people who hear a little bit of this, open enough to hear it, will understand the best things that have happened in their lives were not because of their ego. This is the part we don't tell ourselves the truth on. The best things that have happened in most of our lives were not because of our ego. I see it so
Yeah.
clearly in myself. It's really funny because I have these conversations with myself and I see it. Because when I go in deep enough to the energy field that's in me, I can see you know, my own human consciousness is so delusional. It's unbelievable. But it's never created anything good in my life. All the good stuff that I have in my life happened. But we find we can't trust enough. We can't let go enough to let that happen. because we just don't get who we are. If we all are an extension of source energy, if we all are an extension of source energy, then the very desires that come up for us that are all unique, all different, we're all coming for different experiences. No one's come for the same two. It will happen. Some people need to, in this lifetime, they just need to experience financial security. Okay? That's what they want. Or some kind of sense of power. That's all they're capable of. And it's okay. It's got nothing to do with me. Why am I getting upset about it? Why am I getting engaging with it? There's no lack, except we believe there's a lack. We believe if someone else is hitting home runs, I can't. If someone else's bank account is full, they must be bad people. Wow. I mean, you never see a tree turning around to the other tree and say, you're greener than me, so therefore I'm going to knock you down.
No.
Okay? You don't see a bird flying by and saying, you're prettier than me, I'm going to get your ass. Okay? Now, that's different when they want lunch and they're bigger than them, but that's just because that's what, a beast sometimes does that. But they play their part beautifully.
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe that we are an extension of source energy. I think there's enough evidence of it. And when I look at the journey I go through on a daily basis in relationship to my world, particularly my boys, my wife, things that are important to me, I just see how much judgment and control there is. And most people don't want to face that and admit that to themselves. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I know I do it. But really go in and just see how much it is. And you know, and it's funny when you get to our age where you are coming to who knows how much longer any of us have. It's really interesting doing it then because the threat of death that my human psyche holds on me. And its logic is completely flawed because letting go of sometimes things that seem so trivial can be so hard because it fears its own death. If I let go of that and I really trusted, I would die. That's what comes up in me on a regular basis. Okay. Because that's
Yeah.
how I've gone in that deep into pushing my challenging might and observing my human. That's what I mean by confronting it. All right. Not fighting with
Yeah.
it. It's just like questioning who really am I? Because this that I'm believing right now and feeling isn't real. As real as it feels, it's not who I am. I don't believe it. I'm not going to accept it. And it goes bonkers. It goes crazy. It's violent. It's threatening. And it threatens with death. And it's like, isn't that interesting? Because that's what it's built on. Its promise can never be delivered. It never has been. It never has been delivered. And yet we don't want to see it in ourselves. That's all I'm saying. Is so I have to open up to the notion of a greater sense of awareness. I've got to include things that I've not included by training or by upbringing. Because everything we have about in relationship to God or source or whatever you want to call it comes from the human perception and it is delusional. It is basically insane. That's why the world is insane right now.
So, so, but you've said a whole lot of other stuff which kind of made sense, but didn't that all come from the human too?
Like what?
Well, all the stuff that you're saying about source and the non-physical.
I see. I don't. For me, I know it hasn't come from for me because of what I've done in my own inner journey and because of what I've seen happen in my physical life as a result of that. I know that it's come from somewhere else. I've done my part, but I see this is the difference. I've done my part. If that's what you're saying, yes, we all have to do our part, which is stay awake. We
Yeah,
have to
I see what you
use
mean.
we're using our human faculties, but in a different way.
Very good.
I've started to challenge my the rational thinking that I've used for a lot in my life that drew conclusions about that, that my father didn't love me or this one didn't care. That's the that's only using the physical organs and things we have. But then when I, as the eternal being, which is still consciousness, so I'm in a body, and that's the separation part. I've got to separate, understanding that I am not my physical body. I'm not my physical mind. I am my spiritual mind. And that's a very different thing
Mm,
because the physical mind that people get confused by is actually the brain. That's who
mm,
most people think that's who they are. And it's not.
no.
Okay. And it's an interesting thing because whenever anyone has had an afterlife experience, whether we question how real or it's not, they all have something in common, which is they all had complete awareness, total awareness.
Yeah,
All right.
that's right. They do. They do.
Yeah. The
I mean, the
total
accounts
awareness.
that I've read, it's
Yeah.
like I was outside of my body. I had an
Yes.
experience of,
Complete
this and
awareness.
this and this and this, and
Yeah.
it's of being loved and being bathed in an
Absolutely.
experience of this
Exactly.
or the other
So they
thing.
had complete awareness, but without the human faculties.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
memory
you're
that
right.
we have, which is mostly an emotional memory, do you understand? It's a distorted memory. It's not a memory of the actual event. And that's the
Yeah.
difference. You remember Stranger in a Strange Land, the book?
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't that. It wasn't the capacity to look and observe. Yes, in that lifetime, I killed that person. Now what happens is all the other stuff that goes around it. And that's the human part.
Yeah.
Okay. This is why there was even talk about Judgment Day and that is because when you leave your body, you're going to be aware of everything you did, everything.
Yeah.
But there's no judgment. And this is what we find so hard. What do you mean I'm not going to get judged? So it's okay to do the stuff?
Yeah.
No, no one said it's okay to do the stuff because what you're going to do is that's what sets your soul's evolution backwards. And then you're going to come back into the physical and you're going to have to go through it again. That's what karma really is. It's not judgment. It's not punishment. It's the law of the universe. It's a very different thing. It's not because you're right or wrong. It's just you haven't. It's like you come back to evolve again because that's what we all want to do. We all want to evolve, expand. We
Yeah.
have to because the universe has to expand. In other words, people say they want to see peace on earth. They want to see everyone caring and loving for each other. It cannot happen right now. It won't happen right now because there's not enough souls to come into earth that are evolved enough to do that. It's not a judgment. That's a fact. The universe source hasn't evolved enough for that to happen. We are all extension of source, hopefully expanded.
Yeah.
And I also have another thing that I'm starting to experience as a final thing to think about, which is for many people who you know, have you come across inside yourself your own willfulness, your own stubbornness, your own
Yeah.
kind of people call it pride and stuff like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
There are many of us who have that. And I'm not talking about the people who are completely disconnected, all right? I'm talking about people who are, who are partially awake, who are interested in having a better life, who are interested in making a difference. You know,
Yeah.
because because when you are a powerful, evolved soul and you come into the physical, but
Yeah.
remember, you come in and you're asleep and you buy into the physical,
Yeah.
your power goes against you to begin with, because your power actually is going through your human psyche, so it makes you more willful. It's a really interesting paradox, actually, because the
So what,
power.
say some more about that.
Okay, we are all an extension of source, which means effectively we all have the power. We are all magnificent creators. Every
Yeah.
single person living on this planet is creating the life they live in right now. And 99.9% of people would refuse to accept that. There are many people who are on a spiritual path right now who sort of are starting to want to wake up and are not understanding that the power that they are using for their human ego or human psyche. That's not thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's the
Yeah.
will because not because of anything negative. It's because they don't understand what's going on. They don't understand the rules of the game in the physical. You have to understand the rules of the game in the physical, which is the what is of the physical is everything about it is a gravitational pull towards negative. And I'm
Yeah.
caught up. Until I start waking up, I've got to see that I'm caught up in it. So I'm actually using my creative will, my power, for that rather than for who I really am. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
that really that when you said that the other day about that gravitational pull towards the negative, that has really stayed with me because I notice how much I'm in that place, you know, and I've done a lot of work on myself not to be, not to automatically go back there, but I do go back there. And so I'm always in that trying to like leave that negative space and to change my vibration to being more seeing away from that and towards the positive and towards the good. Um, but I've really noticed the pull of it and stop beating myself up for it, actually.
Correct. And that's
You know,
and that's a very important aspect of it is to make peace with it.
yeah,
But
I've
it's
just
hard
got,
to make peace with it and forgive yourself when you still have a really strong belief that all of that makes us a sinner. That
yeah,
all of
it
that
doesn't,
stuff is separates us from that's what making, in other words, that it's got nothing, that we're separate from God.
yeah, it, I find it very, I'm not sure in my mind think about the link between that and sinning, but I do think about um, the fact that it's tiresome. And but also since we had that conversation, I've just thought it's just the way, it's like running a system on a computer. It's just there, it's running and it's running and it's running and it's running and it's understanding that it's running and not having the judgments about the fact it's a bad thing. But it's part of
Yeah, that's
the humanness of me is that it's gonna run. So,
correct.
what
That's
am I
and
gonna do
that's
with
like
it?
okay, and that's a what is.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Exact. That's a really
okay,
good
so
way of putting it. It's a what so. It's not the fact that because I think I in the past have thought I'm such a bad person because I keep on having negative thoughts, i.e. making a judgment about the fact rather
okay,
than
and that's why
understand.
we
Go,
and
go
that's
for
why
it.
we talked about the power of, but that's why we talked in the beginning about how important it is to spend time observing just how much we identify and believe that everything that's going on within my physicalness is real and everything that's going on
Yeah.
in the physical world is real. And that is of itself is probably, I would say, for most people, if they spent the first year of an awakening journey, a spiritual journey, just doing that alone, their lives would change.
Mm.
All right.
But
You
it's
remember we
it's
talked about most people, we try steal second base, meaning we try to be enlightened already.
I know. I know. It's going back to the silver bullet again.
Yeah.
If I can just get in line with what it is that this person is saying, this clever person is saying, whether or not they're, enlightened or not, um, then that will save me. That will save my ass. And I'll be able
Yeah.
to, I won't be in this pain or whatever. But like understanding the fact that I'm just by being human, I'm running a system. That's quite revelatory, actually.
Yeah. And,
Because
it's, you see, if we could, we find it too hard to keep simple simply because we have an intellect. We have the human being is driven and very dependable on its rational and its intellect and its brain. The whole world talks about knowledge is power, but the knowledge they're talking about is the knowledge of education, of intellectual
yeah,
stimulation, intellectual development.
yeah,
That's what keeps us stuck. It's a very simple process, which is I am not any of my physical thoughts, feelings, or sensations. I'm not. I already am an extension of the creative force of this universe, which is well being, abundance, peace, and love. Nothing else.
That's how simple it is. And then all you have to do is go inside and see how much you really, truly believe and are willing to trust in that. That is the journey for someone to start taking to affect the quality of their existence immediately. Their relationships will start changing, their finances will change. Even if they really don't actually care about it, they will happen. It will happen.
So, given that I'm running on the with the negative program, um, albeit that I don't judge myself on it, how do I shift more to the place of well-being, abundance, peace, and love?
By starting to give my when that stuff comes up, when the system kicks in,
Yeah,
as I've as I practice and become more of a master of being able to observe it and giggle at it, and then I just be aligned with the knowing, the peace that all is well because I already am an extension of the source of all that is in this universe. And I just got to just trust that and relax into that. Now that sounds really easy. See what
yeah,
happens when you start see what happens when you start practicing it. See how much pushback, rebellion, revolution goes on inside from the physical psyche, the physical energy. It does not want to give up being God. In the interesting thing is, and I've talked to my boys about it and asked them, and they understand, they resonate with it. When they start becoming more willing to recognize and let go of the human consciousness or what they call the human ego,
yeah,
they observe how strong it becomes in its fight back to begin with. It gets really, really strong, even more magnified than what they thought it was. And that's why in ancient Judaism, there was so much teaching about understanding that there is only one God, one energy, and it is the true Almighty. It was a beautiful metaphor because you see, we believe that this devil in us, this energy, it's so powerful. We actually start worshiping it and praying to it. That's what we're doing. That's what humanity is doing every day, worshiping and praying to this God because it's so powerful. It's so powerful. It's so dominating. It is, just is.
What do you mean worshipping and praying to
Well, because
what?
everything we to the human
To the
consciousness,
to
the
the
devil,
form.
not
Yeah.
even just no, not the form, no, the consciousness, the stream of energy that is in us. No, because the problem is when you say form, most people literally think of the physicalness of it. Do you understand?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, people want money, they want the form. But more importantly is to look at how much we worship and pray and focus on that negative stream of consciousness that comes from the human psyche. How hard we find letting it go, detaching from it, recognizing that it is not who I am. I am an extension of the source energy. That's, I am eternal awareness. I am an infinite being. I am not Anthony. I'm not my personality. But our experience is such that we believe this human consciousness, this human energy is the God Almighty. That's why we all worship it.
Yeah.
And when people hear that, they're probably going to think I'm crazy. Well, they should just look at how much they believe their thoughts and their feelings. That's what worship is. That's what prayer is. You know, people go, I've done it. We've all done it. Any person who on some level still believes in God, on some will at certain times in their life have prayed. Would you agree with that?
Yep.
They've asked for help.
Yep.
But it's all based on what they're feeling and experiencing. I did it all my life. It was only of late. I didn't realize from the age of 9, around about 9 or 8, when I prayed for help, the universe answered me. I didn't realize that until about a year ago. because it answered me, because I asked for help, because it has to help respond. But it's not going to be anywhere remotely in the way that we think it is. Nowhere near it. Because it can't do that. It can only respond through its vibration, which is to help us wake up.
Yeah.
So what I mean is, when I say we pray and worship, is because people really believe that their thoughts and their feelings, or what's happening in the physical life that's causing them this pain, is real. So they pray for help to control it and overcome it. Because if I overcome it, I'll be happy again. All will be well again. If I get that relationship, if I get that job, if I don't get rid of this cancer, whatever it is, that's the illusion. That's the illusion. And that's what we worship in and pray most of the time. So I suppose what I'm saying, Jane, is if someone thinks I'm crazy, all they have to do is spend 1 week, 10 minutes a day, being still in their mind, but not controlling, and observe their energy. We talked about this in the very beginning. Just start observing the vibration that's going on within you, because we are focuses on vibration. And just see how much of that energy is founded in well-being, abundance, and peace, as opposed to fear, anger, blame, self-doubt, judgment, which is what most people are experiencing all the time.
Yeah.
It's actually that simple. So if I want to start healing, I need to start letting that stuff go. I need to start giving it up. That's what forgiveness was about. It's about giving it up. I need to give up worshiping it. I need to give up praying to it. I need to give up giving it attention.
Yeah. Yes.
I need to repent and seek the kingdom of God, which is already here now. That's what Jesus said. Change your perception, repent, use your mind. He didn't say anything about, I need to redeem myself because I'm a sinner, which is what man believed it to be. Didn't say that. Okay? He said the kingdom of God is here now, the consciousness of the source of this universe. By the way, he didn't actually say any of that. He couldn't have, because that's all English. But let's assume the essence of what he said was something like that, right? The translation. Let's take that one. The essence of what he said was, change your perception of who you are. Start becoming more aware of yourself as a universal, non-physical being. Start understanding the rules of the universe. There are spiritual laws that cannot be broken. They cannot be manipulated. They cannot be controlled. It doesn't matter what your government's doing. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. That's temporary. What's permanent is that you are an eternal being, always aligned with well-being. And even if what they're doing kills you, you will go back to well-being. So what's the difference? Why not reconnect with source while you're here? That's what I say to myself.
Yeah.
And it's quite funny when I say that to myself, you can't imagine what comes back.
Yeah.
And there it is. It's like, wow. And this is the stuff I really believe in. And then it's kind of, be kind to yourself, Anthony, because that's the system. You didn't create it. And then what comes up is about punishment, or what I must have done in past lives, and all that nonsense that gurus have taught people for years. No.
Yeah.
Even if it is past lives, it doesn't matter. That's only because it's vibration and it's energy. So my body's carrying it. There's an argument. Some people think we come in here and we've got a clean slate. Other people think you come in here and you've got karma. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Because if you're experiencing right now vibration that is fear-based, lack-based, judgment, deal with it now, because healing is right now.
Yeah.
The non-physical, there is only now. There isn't time and space in the non-physical. It's just now. So it doesn't matter. I don't need to know the answers to that one. I don't need to know whether there is, the way religion has interpreted it. That's irrelevant.
Yeah.
All I need to know is right now I have a choice. as Bruce Lee said, I can choose to start putting my attention on a different energy and start being
Mm,
it.
mm,
Just practice being it and knowing I'll fail every day at it.
yeah. Wow. Well, that's marvelous.
You know, and having a bit of fun with it. I mean, I have a lot more fun than I used to. I often laugh because I think from people that I've known before in another time and space of my life, listening to that probably think there he is being very serious again, right?
Me.
They have no idea how much it actually humors me, the insanity of being a human being. It's really funny. It's insane. I mean, I'm insane most of the time because I'm actually expecting a different result
I
on a
do
daily
the same
basis from
thing.
certain things while I'm just doing the same damn thing.
Yeah.
I'm still having the same beliefs. I'm still having, and I'm expecting it to be different. And that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going
That's
to be seeing my son soon, which I'm very excited about. I'm sure they'll give me some feedback about something.
yes.
They gave me some wonderful feedback the other day. It was hilarious.
What did they say?
It wasn't hilarious at the time, but it was afterwards. Well, Joel said to me, Dad, when it comes to baseball, I think sometimes you should just shut up.
Yeah.
And then Zach said to me, yeah, the problem is around the baseball thing, sometimes you just talk too much. But it was great because I really sat with the pain of that. I mean, it was like horrible, but when I sat with it, I thought it's so interesting because I'm still deluding myself to think that I am important enough to have some kind of control over what these two wonderful beings are doing. They're about to get in the car now, so I'm going to wrap it up with you.
Okay.
Lots of love.
Lots of love to you.
Talk soon. Bye.
Bye.